What's up? Good morning. Ooh, hot. Need to heat it up. A couple of things to talk about today before you get your day off and rolling. What's up, everybody? I'm Guy. Welcome. Talk about Jake Moody. The little Jake Moody deep dive. We'll talk about George Kittle, and we'll see if by the end of this, Alabama's hired Dan Lanning or something. But I think everybody's getting it wrong on Jake Moody. All the debate about whether you're confident in Moody or not confident in Moody. Well, Justin Tucker missed kicks. I got a few of those DMs and text messages. Oh, well, Justin Tucker, he misses kicks. You look back at last year, Robbie Gould misses kicks. And that's true. But I think everyone's looking at it wrong. I mean, if you had looked on paper before the year and said 60 is 61, which is what Moody is from extra points, 21 to 25, everybody would have taken it, especially after that first preseason game where it looked immediately like, uh-oh, what's the problem? So let's recap quickly the Moody year, right? Week 6, Cleveland. It wasn't just that he missed the game-winning kick, but he had earlier in the first quarter missed a kick. Now 54 yards, right? Long kick. His next kick after that he made. His PAT after that he made. All right. Minnesota misses a 40-yarder. After that, nails the extra point. After that, hits a 55-yarder at the end of the third quarter. Week 17, we just saw this. Misses the 40-yarder at the beginning of the second quarter. And then his next kick, at the end of the third quarter, misses I missed Minnesota. Yeah. 422 in the second quarter. No good. Then the PAT in the second quarter, no good. All right. So I didn't miss Minnesota, but I read it wrong. Now, I'm not going to go through all these kicks, but here's the point. Robbie Gould, his misses last year, one was blocked for a touchdown. Another was blocked in week 5 against Carolina. He had a situation against the Raiders. He missed a kick for the win, went to overtime, then won it. So that was like the Cleveland spot. And then Justin Tucker. People have brought up Justin Tucker a lot this year. He's had some misses, 5 of them, 1 extra point miss. Of his field goal misses, 4 are from over 50 yards. 1 of them was blocked. So here's the difference. Sift through all that junk to get through this to the point, which is that the difference between Moody, say Tucker this year, Gould last year, is that everybody misses kicks. All these guys miss kicks. Hell, I hope that Jake hits a few in the postseason. We don't talk about it all off season. It's never a story again, right? The problem for young guys when they're thrown into spots like Moody is, on most teams, if you told me that Jake Moody had been drafted by the Falcons, by the Panthers, by the Seahawks, or if the Niners were just an average, even the Rams, they'd be happy. They'd be happy. So it's fair for people to say, let's not judge Jake Moody by a different standard than most kickers get judged by. That's fair. The path that he's on is a good path, right? You don't want him to be one of those guys who you draft, you expect too much of, so you cut, then he ends up a good kicker for somebody else. Daniel Carlson is a great example of that. So hopefully, again, all this to say, I hope he makes some kicks. But the difference between him and those other 2 seasons is when those guys miss kicks, when they have missed kicks, they haven't missed them again. Right? Gould, I could go through it. He didn't miss 2 kicks in the same game. Justin Tucker this year has not missed 2 kicks in the same game. So when I say that the numbers don't reflect the way it feels sometimes, I think what that really means in reality is that you worry that if something goes wrong, he's not going to be able to fix it. Why does he miss twice in the same game? Why do you miss the field goal against the Rams and then miss the extra point the same direction? Why in the preseason were 2 misses in the same game? Why in the Cleveland game were there 2 misses in the same game, right? So we've had 2 of the 3 regular season games this year in which he's missed twice. And that's actually what you're concerned about. It's not about the miss, it's about the fix. And, I think golfing's kind of the obvious analogy. When a guy sprays a drive, was it just Oh, double cross. Was it just an accident? Sometimes it happens. You take enough swings, you'll do it. Or is there something wrong? And the concern is that when he misses, he can't fix it immediately. That's what when I express less than full confidence, it's that's what it's about. It's about watching some of the makes going, oh, did he have full control over that ball, or was that ball getting a little squirrely? It's that too. I mean, that's part of why I'm on edge. You got to admit, it's not about. So somebody will rattle off the numbers, and I go, okay, but I've watched it and it doesn't quite look right. Like right now, I look right. Don't sound right. Feel fine. Don't sound right. This might have to be the last video of the day or the week. We'll see. So that's what I'm trying to explain to people when you say like, oh, why are you nervous? You're just worrying. Everybody who's worrying is overreacting. Look at the numbers. Yeah. No, I'll watch. And what I see is a guy and here's the thing with a kicker. And I said this to Larry Krueger yesterday, like if you're a quarterback and not on the same page with your receivers, you go talk to your receivers, they can tell you, actually what I'm seeing is this. You're a pitcher. You got other pitchers to talk to. Every your catcher, you can talk to hitters. Like everybody on your team can give you a different piece of feedback. Kickers, who are you talking to? I don't like the idea of bringing it. Your special teams coach isn't a kicking expert. He just lines up return coverages, right? There's nobody else that does what you do because they don't keep two of you around. Now, to that end, I would not bring in another kicker to kick, to motivate him. I don't think it usually works like that. If a kicker is unfocused, if a kicker has been struggling for weeks and you need a real alternative, then okay. That's not the situation here. I don't think he's unfocused. I don't think you're going to replace him. You're not going to find anybody that's going to push him either. You bring somebody in, and they're not pushing Jake Moody. He's a better kicker than most people. So I don't think that's the solve there. All right, the other thing I want to get to is old George Kittle, who got hosed in the players all-pro voting. Now, the good news is the players all-pro voting, I don't think it really matters. I don't think it's in contract bonuses. The real all-pro voting comes out on Friday morning, and I think George should be the tight end all-pro. And the good news is I don't think the media will make the same mistake as the player. The players have to fix their voting. You got to fix your voting. It's great to the players. You want to have a vote. The Players Association do a little positive pub. Fine. Second year in a row they've done it. But they whiffed on George, like in a major way. So, and I know why it happened too. So Kelsey was the players' vote for All-Pro. Fine. Travis Kelsey is one of the best players in the league. He was not the best tight end this year. Hell, even Evan Ingram had a hell of it. Evan Ingram had 114 catches this year. You could have voted Evan Ingram if you wanted. I wouldn't have. I'd have voted George. When it was all said and done, George Kittle was the only tight end that had more than 1,000 receiving yards this year. In fact, it was Kelsey's worst year of his career, which is a positive for Travis Kelsey. Tells you how good a career he's had. But George was the only tight end that had 1,000 receiving yards this year. George was a humongous big play guy. When you look up and you go, guy, he was like 16 yards a carry. And of course, he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. According to Pro Football Focus, the number one run blocking tight end in the league. You didn't need to look at PFF to know that. Travis Kelsey, 71st. Run blocking tight end. Fine, whatever. It's not what he's there to do. He's a superstar without run blocking being part of his repertoire. But here is where it went wrong. Because you look at it and go, well, maybe they just voted. Maybe the players super fit. They're not really studying. They just voted on name. Maybe. But the AP All-Pro team, the real one, it's going to come out on Friday. The votes on that, I dug around. I asked some people. The votes on that were turned in Monday. The votes on the players' AP team were turned in a month ago. So, of course, they got it wrong. You can't do that. What are you guys doing? A month ago, and I don't know exactly when a month ago. So I just went to the beginning of December. Where were the numbers before the December games? Here's what happened. Before December, guess who had more receiving yards? Travis Kelce or George Kittle? Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce had 732 receiving yards at the end of November. Kittle had 667. Well, then December got played, and Kittle had a great month, including a game that everybody watched, but was not part of the player vote, which was the Raven game. George, on Christmas, in front of the whole country, against the other best team in the league, had 7 catches for 126 yards. Niners got blown out, but George Kittle went off. So I think when you consider that game and when you consider where the numbers were a month ago, it explains why Travis Kelce got that player vote over George. And once I find out that explanation after my sleuthing, and I find out that the players voted a month ago and that the AP vote waited till Monday, it makes me think that George is going to win the award this year. I'd be surprised they gave it to Evan Ingram, who, again, had a great year. But, Brock gets kind of punished in the discussion because he got so many great players around him. He doesn't get actually punished. Let's be clear about that. He benefits. But, if you're going to say, well, all these good players around you, well, then give those players the credit, right? And George is kind of like Ayuk, in which his production was off the charts because his efficiency was off the charts, but his total number of catches was not off the charts, right? George has like 25, 23, 25, whatever the number is, fewer catches than Travis Kelce does. He's got way fewer catches than Evan Ingram. He's got 114. Evan Ingram's 8 yards a catch. George is double that. So he blocks. Well, guess what? One of the best run teams in the country, in the nation, in the league. Sorry, NFL. So, McCaffrey's on the team. Trent Williams is on the team. So this powerful run game that protects the quarterback and that runs the ball like nobody else, this guy's a huge part, is a key to the whole thing. So if you're going to say it's one of the best run teams in the league and only put one offensive line on the All-Pro team, well, who else is blocking? George. And then he's explosive, which is, what people have said for a while. The Niners lack that. So, I mean, if you watch, it's obvious. But that's an explanation. I expect the media, the players always like, the media, they can't be trusted. Well, then fix your voting. It's 2024. You can vote on the internet. I vote for the Heisman. I've mentioned that many times here. We vote on the internet for that. We don't fill out a piece of paper. I've seen the way they vote. The NFL 100, I've seen what they do. They come around, they give the players a ballot with like 20 names on it and a Sharpie. And I'm like, here you go. 20 blanks on it, not 20 names. Here you go. Fill this out while you're sitting here shirtless before practice starts. So they want to act like, well, we got to take ownership of this vote. And then they turned the vote in a month ago. Please. Now, I've been to big games. I've mentioned this before. I've been to the national championship game, football, basketball. Like, they'll do the same thing. I was told the Super Bowl used to do this and recently changed, like within the last couple of years. But it used to be, maybe it is still for some of these. They bring you the ballot, and it says on it, like, ballot to do with 5 minutes left in the game. You're like, what? That's when all the good stuff happens. But they have to collect the paper and then tabulate it. It doesn't have to be that way. And it certainly doesn't have to be that way with, like an all-pro vote. You send people a link. You tell players, here you go. Get on your phone. Do it right after the season ends. They're all available, most of them. I mean, the majority of the league is free after the last week of the season. You got 2 teams on buys. You got a few teams playing in games. You got 12 teams playing in games. And you got everybody else free. Seasons are over. They got time to vote on the plane home. Kittle's the fourth option on the team, been catching hospital balls since he was a rookie. He's the go-to hospital balls. How does everything at tight end? Kelsey's a glorified receiver. Kelsey's legit, but Kittle's more legit this year and is a different type of player, as we know. But those are the two guys. Kurt the Chameleon says Moody's problem psychological. That's what I thought. But then when I dove in and I saw that most of his misses come in twos, I wondered, well, is it mechanical? That could also mean psychological. I don't know. Not a kicker expert. But Lamar led the vote for QB, so it must have been a later vote. Maybe. I was told players voted like a month ago. That's what I was told. By a player. So either way, they got it wrong. If I'm wrong about the vote, which I'm just telling you what a player told me, but if I'm wrong about the timing of the vote, they still got it wrong. And the media better get that one right. Imagine if Kittle had Brock thrown to him for 6 years like Kelsey did with Mahomes. He'd be the number one undisputed tight end in the league. Bennett says Hawkinson would have been the only other option. Also would have hit 1,000 yards without his knee being blown up. Tough. 1,000+ receiving yards on only 65 catches. Yeah. Haven't kicked the football in my life. Do we know what's technically wrong with Moody's misses? No. Nothing you can do but hold your breath. Missing a 38-yarder and an easy extra point afterwards seems to indicate these misses stay with him in his head. We're guessing here. If we're going to be honest, we have to be honest and say we're guessing. That's what it looks like. The opener was the Raider preseason game. It was whoop, whoop, one way, one the other way. One of them was like a 50+ yarder. So it's like, what do you do with that? But the ultimate point here is, I think it's a little foolish to say nothing to see here. What are you even worried about? Well, I'm worried that they don't happen one at a time in games. They seem to come in pairs. Now, you could also say, God, hold on, come in pairs. It's happened twice. Sample size is ridiculously small. Like, give the guy 5 years and then 3 years, 2 years, whatever. And that is fair. Like, there's some truth to that, because we've seen it happen before where a guy as a rookie just needs a little time, ends up on another team. But this is what I keep going back to. There are sometimes the misses feel funky. That didn't feel right. It felt a little. Luck's not the word, because he's got to make it, and the balance says he's making a way more than he misses. But we've all watched it so long that even though we don't know kicking, we know comfortable makes and uncomfortable makes. We know down the middle and ball flight that looks unpredictable. I think that's the part that's a little scary. Sometimes the ball flight looks unpredictable. What's his field goal percentage against his peers? Very good. It's excellent. He's got a very good field goal percentage. He was the record holder. The extra point only recently got moved back. Nobody made 60 in a row until him. Now, he didn't kick as many this year. 21 to 25. Last year, Robbie Gould kicked 32 field goal attempts. But you know what? The year before that, Robbie kicked 23. So, not unusual if you project out 5 years, Kyle Shanahan, this offense, whatever, that about 25 attempts is what you're looking at. And by the way, excellent offense. So he kicked a lot of extra points. 61, made 60. It's pretty good. But I go back to the heart of the question, which none of us have the answer for right now. When he misses, does he have the immediate fix? And in this small sample size of 3 games with misses in them, in 2 of those games, one miss and another miss. He's missed multiple times. Moody will be a question mark. I don't want our season to be left up to a question mark. You're in the fight now. You got no choice. It's happening, whether you want it to or not. It's on. We're going. So get ready. Nothing you can do about it. All right. I plan to go longer, but this is ridiculous. Thanks for being here. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Try and take care of whatever the hell this is. And hopefully be back soon. Thanks for hanging, everybody.